There is a moment after every World Cup final the cameras almost never show you. Not the goal, not the trophy lift, the walk back to the locker room, when the noise fades and a team has to face what it actually lost. A man walked away from reporters without answering the one question everyone needed him to answer. Another man stood at a podium looking like he was not sure he wanted to do this job again. And one of them didn't have an answer. That man was Lionel Messi. The other was Lionel Scaloni. And the thumbnail on this video says two words, both gone. Not gone from the match. The match was already over. Gone from what comes next. Argentina lost this final by a single goal in extra time. And if you only look at the scoreline, that sounds like a normal defeat, the kind that happens in football every few years. But the scariest part of this loss was never the goal Spain scored. It's what happened after it. Messi had just played his third World Cup final at 39 years old, and Scaloni had just built the most successful generation in Argentina's history. Neither of them would say whether they'd be back. Here's what actually happened on the pitch. For 105 minutes, Argentina held. Spain controlled the ball. Spain pushed them backward. Spain created chance after chance. And the score stayed at 0. That was exactly the match Argentina wanted. Survive, wait, strike once, let Messi decide it in the final minutes or on penalties. Then in the 106th minute, Ferran Torres scored. Argentina finished the match without a single shot on target. Spain became world champions for the second time. One goal, after 2 hours of football. On paper, that's the smallest possible defeat. But it exposed the largest possible question football has right now. What happens when a team reaches the end of its greatest era before anyone has decided what the next one looks like? Argentina has lost finals before. The 2014 World Cup to Germany. Multiple Copa America finals in the years after. And every single time, the story was the same. Another argument about whether Messi could ever win the big one. Another chapter in an unfinished story. But this defeat is not that. Under Scaloni, this team had already won the 2021 Copa America, the Finalissima, the 2022 World Cup, the 2024 Copa America. This wasn't a team still trying to become historic, it already was won. Which is exactly why this final whistle didn't feel like just another defeat. It felt like a door closing. And Messi's age, 39 years old, in his third World Cup final. That's not even the real fear here. The day after the loss, he posted online that the pain was immense and the wound would take time to heal. He thanked the fans. He congratulated Spain. He said nothing about whether he'd be back. The real fear is something nobody in Argentina has ever agreed on. Here's the fear nobody in Argentina has actually agreed on. Everyone assumes replacing Messi means finding the next great forward. It doesn't. Messi was never just a right winger. He was never just a number 10. He was never even just Argentina's leading scorer. He was the player who decided which moments in a match actually mattered. Argentina could go 15, 20 minutes without creating a single dangerous chance, and it wouldn't matter because Messi would get the ball between two lines, wait for exactly one defender to commit, and turn one open passing lane into a full attack. That's not a skill you coach into a 19-year-old. That's a shortcut tactics cannot manufacture. When the structure around him was working, Messi made it lethal. When the structure was collapsing, Messi could make the collapse irrelevant. He could paper over a broken shape with one moment of individual brilliance. Which is why replacing his position is the easy part. What Argentina doesn't have, what no country has ever had, is a replacement for his function. Because his function was never one job. It was four. Somebody has to create the chance. Somebody has to finish it. Somebody has to control the rhythm of the entire match, when to slow it down, when to explode. And somebody has to become the emotional center of the group, the player everyone else organizes around under pressure. For over a decade, Argentina could point every single one of those jobs at one man. Now they have to split him into 4 different players and hope those 4 players agree on the timing the way one brain always could. That is not a lineup change. That is Argentina rebuilding the entire logic of how it attacks, from zero, in real time, on the biggest stage in the sport, with no guarantee any of those 4 players even exist yet. Then Scaloni walked into his own press conference. He talked about pride. He talked about gratitude. He admitted, flatly, that Spain had been the better team. Then a reporter asked him about next season, and he didn't dodge it, but he didn't answer it either. "I'll continue until December," he said. And after, probably, cut ties. We will see. Not a resignation. Not a confirmation he was staying. Just a man telling an entire country he needed time to decide what came next, on his own terms, after everything this job had cost him. Before he left that podium, he became emotional. He cried. And just like that, the thumbnail on this video stopped being a tease and became a fact. Both gone. Not confirmed gone. Worse than that. Undecided gone. The best player of his generation, refusing to say what comes next. The coach who spent 8 years building the one thing more valuable than any single player, saying it with more words, but no more certainty. Messi may take the brilliance with him. Scaloni may take the method. Neither of them has told Argentina whether that's actually going to happen. And that uncertainty is worse than an ending, because Argentina can't even start rebuilding something it doesn't know is broken yet. Rewind for 1 second, because this only makes sense if you know where it started. In August 2018, Scaloni took over as caretaker coach, a man who had never held a head coaching job in his life, brought in after Argentina lost 4-3 to France in the last 16 and the previous coach was fired. Argentina hadn't won a major trophy in 25 years. Messi didn't say a word to reporters after that France match. 2 teammates announced their international retirements on the spot. Messi just walked away in silence, and an entire country spent months wondering if he was about to do the same thing he'd done 2 years earlier. Quit the national team altogether. That's the state Scaloni inherited. Not a golden generation. A wreckage, with its best player 1 bad month away from walking out the door. So here's the real question now, and it has nothing to do with 2018. Whoever comes next doesn't inherit a wreckage. They inherit a system that just won 4 trophies in 5 years. And that might actually be worse, because you can rebuild a broken team. Nobody has ever had to rebuild a team that already succeeded, using a formula only 2 people ever fully understood, and neither of them will confirm they're leaving. So say Argentina picks the safest option, someone from Scaloni's own coaching staff, an assistant, someone who already knows the exercises, already speaks the tactical language, already knows every player's family by name. Would that fix it? No, because knowing how a system works and having the authority to change it are 2 completely different things. Scaloni could leave a legend out of the squad and the room would trust the decision, because the room trusted him. He could throw out the entire formation 2 days before a knockout match, because his gambles had already paid off before. He could ask Messi, to change his position on the pitch, because their relationship had survived pressure and defeat and glory, in that order. A successor doesn't inherit any of that. He inherits the job title. He does not inherit the years it took to earn the right to make those calls. And even if Argentina goes the other way, brings in a total outsider, someone with fresh ideas and 0 emotional baggage, that's not a clean fix either. Change too much, and you tear apart the exact habits that made this team unbeatable for 4 years. Change too little, and you become a man cosplaying as Scaloni, coaching a team that isn't his, chasing a version of Messi that's already gone. That's the trap hiding inside every single option. And it gets worse, because the next coach isn't just being judged against a memory. He's being judged in real time, on every single decision, against a team that's still fresh in everyone's mind. A new number 10 gets compared to Messi before he's played a single competitive minute. A new formation gets compared to Scaloni before it's had time to work. Every close match from here forward will trigger the exact same question in the exact same tone. Would the old team have found a way through this? That question can protect standards, but it can also strangle a team that hasn't even been born yet. Now, here's the part that should give you some hope. The talent isn't gone. Julian Alvarez can become the central figure this team builds around next. Enzo Fernandez and Mac Allister can carry more of the midfield than they've ever been allowed to. Christian Romero can become one of the leaders in that dressing room instead of just one of the defenders in it. Argentina has real players who could do this. But talent was never the problem. Argentina has always had talent. What it's never had to build from scratch, all at once, is a shared idea of what the team is for, without the 2 people who used to answer that question just by walking onto the field. So here's the actual danger. And it's not the one you think. It's not that Messi disappears. It's not that Scaloni leaves. It's not even that this golden generation gets older and fades the way every golden generation eventually does. Here's the real danger. Argentina builds a good team. A genuinely good one. Faster. Different. Younger. A team that presses higher. That doesn't need one man to control the emotional temperature of an entire nation. That wins matches in ways this team never had to. And Argentina looks at that team and rejects it. Not because it's worse, but because it doesn't feel like this one. Because somewhere in extra time on a July night, a whole country fell in love with a specific kind of beautiful, and it will spend years mistaking anything different for a downgrade. That's not a story about talent running out. It's a story about a country that might get exactly what it needs and refuse to recognize it, because it doesn't look like what it lost. So ask yourself the question this whole video has been circling. What would actually be harder to replace? Messi's goals, Scaloni's tactics, or the trust that let both of them change this country without breaking it? Because goals can be scored by someone else. Formations can be redrawn on a whiteboard by someone else. New leaders will emerge, they always do. But the understanding between one generational player and the one coach who finally knew what to do with him, that doesn't happen twice. Argentina didn't just lose a final in extra time. It lost the only two people who knew how to answer every question this team is about to face, and neither one of them has said if they're coming back to help answer them. Which part would you protect first? The tactics, the emotional culture, or the freedom this team built around one man? Tell me in the comments. And if you want to know the moment Argentina actually finds out whether either man is staying, subscribe, because December is coming, and one of them already told us that's when we'll get our answer.